Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have been shopping from Sezane for the last 6 to 7 years, and I love them so much that half my wardrobe is from Sezane. But that being said, I have some strong opinions on different pieces. Some are incredible, some are average, some are kind of bad. And what started this video is that my best friend is starting a new job. She's looking to treat herself to a few new pieces before she starts her new job, and she sent me a list of items she was considering. I got back to her so quickly because I had tried most of the items, and I had some strong opinions on what was worth the money and what wasn't. I want to tell you what I shared with her and just give you the absolute best advice when it comes to what to buy, what to avoid from Sezane. I'm also going to share with you what I've purchased recently from Sezane. I feel like what I'm purchasing has slowed down a lot, but that being said, there's still a few things and I'll talk about them in today's video. Sezane's a French brand, and because of that, I feel like it's almost an essential to have stripes. I have quite a few of their stripes because I wear them a lot. So these definitely go into my best category. I'm going to focus on this Elena or Elena stripe because it is a newer release for them and it's also the newest in my collection. So I went with the red and cream stripe instead of the navy and cream. I was really struggling to decide between these two because I knew I couldn't go wrong with navy and white. I would 100% wear it, but I do also love when stripes are not in navy and white for something different. These are 100% organic cotton and they're a medium to heavyweight material. What I like about this particular style over the others is that it fits very classic on the neckline and shoulders. It doesn't have that boat neck, it's more of a crew neck, so it makes it easier to layer. And then with the shoulder design, it's very comfortable, whereas sometimes with striped tops and very heavy materials, they can feel a little tight under the arm. This one's really comfortable to wear in the silhouette. The main reason I was gravitating towards this one is because of the shape. It's shorter, it's boxier, it's more cropped than most of their other styles, and that's the kind of shape that I like. The sleeves are a bit long on me, as you can see, but because of this kind of boxy, oversized fit, I don't mind too much. Final thing is the organic cotton. I used to not care too much about this, but lately I have been thinking about, chemicals used in clothing, as well as like cosmetics. And organic cotton is just better for the environment, better for us. And where possible, I feel like it is worth it. For my friend, she gave me a list of things she was looking at, and then she also asked me, is there anything not on my list that you would recommend? And not on her list was the Leontine, which I 100% recommended for her, and she ended up getting this in the ecru and brown, which suits her so well because she likes a lot of beige, taupes, and neutral tones in her wardrobe. I feel like I've had this for about 3+ years. I still feel like I wear this every single week, sometimes multiple times. It is starting to fade ever so slightly because I get so much wear from it, but the reason is the shape. I think the shape looks really, really nice, cropped, boxy, and it fits well, especially for petites. The fabric is cotton, it has a really nice drape and shape because it's a little bit heavier. The only reason I can think of that you might not like the sweater is if you wanted something like fluffy, soft, cozy, this is not it. This is cotton, it's got a certain structure to it, and the structure makes it look more polished, which is why I like it, but it's not that cozy, soft thing you throw on. Let's move on to something average, and then we'll go to worst, and I'm just gonna keep on alternating between these three. So something average for me at Sezane are their coats. With Sezane coats, whether we're talking about their trench coats or their wool coats, I almost feel like they're designed to be put over a blouse or a light knit and worn that way only. The reason I say this is partially in the way they're styled, but also because they don't give you that much room to layer. If I go for my true size in their coats, I can probably fit like a light to medium weight knit inside comfortably. And then as I get into the chunkier knits inside, it will start to feel a little bit restrictive around my shoulders and my arm. They're not made for layering, so I'm always a little bit iffy about their jackets. I've had a few and I really like it for the quality, but in terms of the design, there's always something that I'm not 100% happy with. So if you fall in love with design, I would still say go for it. It's gonna be good quality. I've seen that all their coats are really beautiful. However, for versatility, they're never at the top of my list. I'm always happy to be proven wrong, so if there is a style you love, let me know. I'd love to check it out in the future. I know for a lot of you guys, you probably don't have, a coat for every stage of winter. So looking for something that will take you through the whole season and is easy to layer is kind of key. Now let's look at something I would actually avoid from Sezane. I don't really like their printed sweaters. I used to have one and then I've tried on a few since then. I would say firstly, the prints are often a little bit too large for me, you know, very bold. But the main reason I don't like it is the silhouette. Because the print is the main focus, I feel like they've not paid too much attention to the shape of the knit. And it's always this shapeless, boxy cut that is not the most interesting. I'm not a huge fan of these, and sometimes I've also found the material to be a little scratchy on these. So this is on my worst list, and I pretty much don't look at these, don't consider these when I'm shopping at Sezane. I want to raise these points so you can consider them before purchasing, but ultimately our body type, our style, that is going to change a lot of things for us. And what looks awful on me could end up looking really, really good on someone else. So this is not to discourage or make anyone feel bad about liking something. It's simply just a couple of extra things to consider. Because my friend is starting a job in an office, she was looking for blouses and shirts. So let's start with one of my favorites and then one of the ones I recommended her. One of my favorites are Sezane's lace blouses. So the one I'm wearing today is called the Nelly shirt. And this one I first tried on in a rosewood. I wasn't sure, so I ended up sending it back. But then I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, it was constantly in my mind for the last 6 months. All of Sezane's white lacy blouses, I feel like are very high quality. The lace details, the embroidery, they tend to hold up very well for me, even with a lot of machine washing. My blouses from them sometimes have lasted 5+ years and they're still going strong. So there's really no doubt for me when it comes to quality. I also have this style of lace top, which I also adore. It's holding up so well. It's so well made. These two are a little bit different. This is cream, what I'm wearing is white, and then I also find this material usually fits a little bit closer. It's a little bit more rigid feeling, whereas these cotton tops tend to be more flowy and loose on the body. Something I recommended to my friend immediately is the Chloe shirt. I used to own this and wear this a lot when I worked in an office. When I worked in an office, I wore this in navy. And the reason I liked it is because it is classic, it is professional, but it's got that detail that makes it feel a little bit more interesting than your typical shirt. My friend works in education, it's not a super stuffy environment, and she loves the details on this one, and I do too. These come in 100% silk, so these ones you will have to hand wash. I'll steam it between wears, wear it 2 or 3 times before I hand wash it. My favorite right now is the Blue Storm. I think this color is incredible, like a blue gray with a slight greenish tinge. I'm a big fan. For me, whose life is a lot more casual, I am drawn to this one. This is the sage camel embroidery on ecru background. This one is beautiful because it's got all of those little details. I feel like for a more casual office, this could work, but this would look amazing just in casual outfits in general. Tucked into little shorts, paired with a skirt, this would be adorable. Going back to average, she sent me a few tomboy shirts that she liked and asked me for my opinions. So the tomboy shirt is my favorite shirt from Sezane. I feel like it is an oversized shirt that's done well. For your true size, it actually fits extremely well on the shoulders, and then you've got a little room on the body. If you want a true oversized look, you can easily size up, as even then, it's still not very oversized. The reason this isn't my average is because it's kind of, you know, it's kind of just a shirt. There's no ultra interesting details. I told her that if she was in love with a color combination, go for it. It's good quality. But if she didn't love the color combination, she could probably get it somewhere else and not have to spend as much and put that money into an item that felt more special. Going back to something I don't recommend, we've got the Sezane Gaspard knit, the Barry knit, as well as something like the Denissa. What all three have in common is that they are a little bit shapeless. And this is a kind of knit that I sometimes feel like they look really cute on when I get them, but then like it's 3 months later, it's 6 months later, it's a year later, and they've lost their shape and they start to look a little sloppy on. So I knit, I work with a lot of knitwear, I wash and dry a lot of knitwear, and I do it properly. Like, I really wash my knits properly the way I'm meant to. But these knits are very hard to keep their shape, and it's just a little bit too much effort if you can do it at all. The Barry and the Gaspard, there is something about washing it where it never comes out as good as it did when I first got it. And that's just not okay for me because I plan on wearing my knitwear for years and years. While I'm here, I'm also going to talk about some other knitwear pieces that I don't recommend. So we've got the Astrid as well as the Natalia. I'm clearly really bad with names. Natalia. These lacy design knits are very pretty, but I don't find them as versatile as others. I've also found that these lacy knits are also more likely to be scratchy, and I've tried a few that were quite itchy. I don't get this at all because these knits are meant to kind of sit very close to the skin. They should be worn kind of over a cami or a body of some sort. So if it's itchy and it's on my skin, it's not comfortable. I can actually forgive a little bit of scratchiness in outerwear or cardigans, but not when they're next to skin knits. And then the other thing is that because they're hard to layer, I generally find them a little bit fussier to wear and not as versatile as other things I own. They're beautiful, but not the most practical for me. Going to best now, believe it or not, after that, my favorite things from Sezane are the knitwear. The knitwear is what stands out for me at Sezane. Not all knitwear is amazing, but a lot of them are. So my favorite style is actually their merino wool options that are a little bit flat in texture. So I'm talking about things like the Betty cardigan. I'm talking about things like this Agatha cardigan in the stripe. When I wear these cardigans, I always feel a little bit more polished than I would in a regular cardigan. And that comes down to the fact that they are a little bit flatter, they're more structured, and it gives me a jacket look versus a cardigan look. I've been thinking about why I wear these so often, and this is the reason. Gives me the comfort of a cardigan, but the look of like a little jacket. Back to my friend, she asked me what I would recommend. I said you have to get a Betty. This is something that I stand by so strongly. I think for work, on those lazy days, but you still want to look good, but you don't want to wear like work clothes, you just want to wear like a cardigan. This is the thing that will make you feel really polished all day. And if my workplace culture is more casual, this is the kind of piece that I will gravitate towards. So if we take a look at the Betty, I've got it in the navy as well as the black. She actually chose these two colors herself as well. We've got very similar style. And she asked me, would I recommend the navy or the black? The way I described it to her was that if you like tortoiseshell buttons, go for the navy. If you like higher contrast, go for the black. If I was forced to choose, I would choose the navy because I think the tortoiseshell kind of buttons look really good against the navy. The black one just has black buttons, but it does have the crocheted edging, which is very nice in itself. I'm inserting this section in because I think it's ridiculous that I almost forgot to mention it, but my all-time favorite thing from Sezane and my absolute most worn is the Sammy and Nail set in navy. My top preference is navy, followed by the green. I feel this set looks a little underwhelming, like it's just like a knit set. They're really common these days, but there are some very specific reasons why I like this one from Sezane. Firstly, the material, cotton merino, and I feel like this is very efficient for this type of garment. The merino keeps it quite warm, the cotton keeps it quite light, and it's the perfect weight for me to wear from spring and autumn into winter. I love that it's got a little bit of shaping through the neckline, it's got buttons on the sleeve, it's got this unique rib when you see it close up that looks simple, but it's more elevated because of the texture. On this whole set, you've got lines running down from top to bottom that's quite elongating in a very subtle way. Because I own this set in a few colors, I always get asked which color I recommend. I would say navy is the best. Navy is the best because it's more forgiving. You can't see any like lumps and bumps. You can't see when you've tucked something in. It's very forgiving. And because navy is a dark color, it just matches with everything and so easy. And then my next one would be the olive green. This color is everything. Of all the colors out there, my absolute favorite color to wear is this yellowy green shade. It's my all-time favorite color to wear. Finding this set in this color has been a dream, and I adore it. I would say when you go for a lighter color or a brighter color, if you get pulls in the sweater, it becomes a little bit more obvious. And with this rib, it is possible to get pulls from like rings or jewelry and things like that. So be careful, but if you get a pull on the navy, you can't really tell at all. So that's something to consider. I think the navy is a lot more forgiving, whereas the colors are a little bit more delicate with the rib pattern. Going back to something more average, on my friend's list, she sent me this belt. And I told her that I would say most belts and leather goods from Sezane are pretty decent, but really not a must and you can get it elsewhere. My reason for saying this is that with any fashion brands, I feel like the leather goods are usually going to be average because they don't specialize in it. I am very happy with my Claude bag as well as my belt from Sezane, but if you notice, these two are all special to me because of the way they look. I love the texture on the bag and I love the buckle on the belt. So if you were to go for something very simple, you know, just like a classic black belt or classic black bag, I wouldn't really recommend it. You can get that from a leather brand, you know, a bag brand, and you'll probably be a lot better off. If she had sent me the red Milo bag, I would have said, yes, go for it. This is so beautiful. But this is the kind of thing I would get at Sezane and I wouldn't get this in black. I would buy things that cannot be found elsewhere and I'm getting it for the design and the aesthetic. Of course, with workwear, she had to ask me about trousers. It's all been tops so far. She's a lot taller than me. I would say she's probably about like 5'6", 7. But even then, I've tried on enough Sezane trousers to know that she will still need to tailor them to get them to fit right, unless she's wearing a heel, which she normally doesn't. She wears a sneaker. That's not a deal breaker in itself. But the main thing is that I feel like Sezane pants are not the most flattering. In their winter styles, they often use heavier wools that look very bulky. Pants in general at Sezane, I don't really get along with, especially as a petite girl. If you're average height, I would also say they're very long. If you're tall and you've got long legs, the bulkier shapes that I'm talking about will actually look very chic and balanced on you because I think the material and the length will work really well. You've got the bulkiness, but you've also got the length to help balance it. On me, you've just got width and then like it's a bit short, so it doesn't feel balanced on my frame. That's why it's on my no list, but it could be okay depending on you. My last worst Sezane item, which I'm gonna do now so we don't have to come back, is my Tammy skirt in viscose. I say in viscose because it was made from 100% viscose. This is essential to why I didn't get along with it. It says machine washable at 30 degrees. I did that and it shrunk. It shrunk a little. So I feel like I could have still like squeezed into it, but it did not look good. You know, when something's a size too small, it fits too tightly. It was like a little shorter and I like my skirts longer. So that was an absolute disaster. I've been told that if you email Sezane and you've followed their care instructions, they will reimburse you somehow. To a degree, I'm not sure, but that was not good because it's not like it was dry clean only and I tested the water and I hand washed it or machine washed it. It actually said machine wash. I'm actually going to be very careful about viscose from Sezane now. It used to be just Reformation that I stayed away from, but I'm a little bit more wary of this now, as obviously this did not wear that well. That wraps up the worst for me, but I've still got a few more best and like average items to go through. Something I recently ordered and I'm still kind of thinking about trying on, putting into outfits to see if it will work for me, is the Balthazar jacket. So it's like a little vest jacket. I am the biggest fan of a vest. I have a couple of vests. You haven't seen them in a while, but they're still in my collection. They're kind of tucked away a little. But I've got a denim vest that I adore. And I've got this brown plaid vest as well. And the reason I love vests is because they are my winter secret. Inside a coat, sometimes I've got like the 2 sweaters already. I don't want to layer anymore. So then I put on a vest and it gives me extra insulation, but I'm not that uncomfortable and bulky through my arms. They are the secret piece I use when I'm traveling and just life in general when it gets cold. I really like this one for the texture, for the little buttons, and because it's got that furry texture, I think it's really cute in a winter outfit. Makes me feel very cozy. I would say that this is also quite practical because it's at a good length. I tend to like my clothing very cropped, but this is one of those pieces where because I'm usually wearing it for warmth, it's actually nice that it's not super short. Super short will kind of defeat the purpose, and this one kind of keeps my mid stomach area warm. I am umming and ahhing whether I need this, and I'm just trying to see how many outfits I can style it in before I keep it. I do this for all of my clothes. I style it into many outfits, and I need to see the versatility before I keep something. This one, I feel like looks really good inside a coat. Worn by itself, I'm not gonna say it's the most chic, I don't think so. It looks a little practical and just efficient rather than stylish, but I do like it. So we'll see how we go. It's pretty warm, it's a little bit padded. It's got this kind of cotton interior, little bit of padding, and then this furry fleece on the outside. One of the highlights for me are Sezane's knit dresses, especially the Harper dress. Sezane knit dresses are some of my favorite clothes ever because they are so flattering. 50% cotton, 50% merino. They're usually a cotton merino blend. The Harper is about 50-50. The material is definitely a pro where it's not so light that you can see everything. It's got a little bit of thickness, so it glides over the body better, and then it doesn't go into heavy territory either, where it starts to look bulky or it starts to be too warm. They just get it right, and these are some of my favorite pieces to wear. I also wanted to quickly mention the Sezane Sandy skirt. I've got it in black as well as a cream color. These are some of my go-to skirts because they're just easy. I've had my black one for 3-4 years, a long time, and I still love wearing it because you can never go wrong with like a black floral skirts. I've actually been moving a little bit away from silk skirts because sometimes I find that the material is just too light. You can see everything. Sometimes, because my skin's a bit dry, there's a bit of static cling. There are ways around it, but it's a bit annoying. And I'd rather just go for something more simple, and that's when I reach for the Sandy. We've got a few more things on my average list, so we'll finish the video off with these. For the most part, I haven't fallen in love with any of Sezane's next to skin knits. So half the time they're made in this viscose blend. The other half of the knits are made from 100% merino. And I feel like I would just prefer to spend the money on cardigans, pullovers, where it's a little bit thicker, more textured, and more interesting. These are usually just a little bit boring, so I don't recommend it as much. With the viscose ones, I feel like they are not worth it for the price, so I'll only go for it if I'm absolutely in love with the design, but if not, I will skip. And then with the merino knits, it's usually about the style, where they're a little bit boring, and if they're gonna be so boring, I might as well just get it from Uniqlo. So if my friend were to ask me whether I recommend these, I would say only if you fell in love with a color or design, but otherwise, just get it from Uniqlo. That was my Sezane best, average, and worst video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really did want to share with you my true feelings about all of Sezane's pieces and the things that I would tell my friend, and I did tell my friend when she was looking for new pieces this time round. Thank you so much for joining me today. When you're watching this video, I am in Japan, so if you'd like to follow along with me, see my winter outfits, head over to my Instagram and I'll be sharing with you more about my trip and my outfits there. I hope you all have a lovely week ahead, and I will see you very soon. Bye.